My name is Irina Korgan, and I'm the head of Asia Center at the Institute of Economics, Russian Academy of Sciences. And I'm very honored to be invited to share my thoughts on the macroeconomic stability and sustainable development of Vietnam. As far as this question concerns, what I perceive as macroeconomic stability for Vietnam is its very close link to Vietnam's economic growth. This year so far, we've seen a very strong economic rebound in Vietnam economy following the recovery from COVID-19 pandemic and very strict lockdowns. But even as its growth, Vietnam's economic growth reached more than 7%, there are even stronger challenges ahead for Vietnam. And these challenges are linked both with international environment and also with certain domestic challenges. And all of this demands different approaches because some of these issues are long-term, some of it short-term, and some of it mid-term. So different policy instruments are needed. So let's start with the international environment, which are more greater risks at the moment. So we see here inflationary pressure. We see a possible stagnation for major export markets like the EU, like the US, and we also can see another commodity shock. It may happen, it may not happen, but the risk is very high. And so it is important to prepare for these sorts of risks. Since inflation is worldwide, Vietnam cannot stay away from it. And there is very little that can be done to counter inflation internationally now. Of course, Vietnam is self-sufficient in major agricultural products, and it diminishes some inflationary pressures on products like wheat and something like that. This is a good thing, so to be self-sufficient in production of agricultural products. But also, inflation can be transmitted through higher energy prices, through higher metal prices, and it can affect incomes of many people and the buying capacity of many people. In that regard, it is important to improve incomes of less advantaged layers of the population. So people who are at the lowest strata of the society need to be provided with safety nets, maybe more stable income, or some state jobs that can guarantee their minimum wage so that they go on consuming. Let's turn to another risk, which is the possible recession in major export markets. Well, it's a huge risk for Vietnam because its trade dependency is more than 100%. Well, in this case, the answer is look for other export markets. Here, Vietnam has a potential of ASEAN economic community. So to redirect certain exports to these markets, to India, which is picking up now. So more regional cooperation. But to the best of my knowledge, Vietnam is doing this already. So I think it's a good path. And another important element in this mix would be more domestic consumption. So to reorient certain industries from export-only style of production to domestic demand. So this is quite important. Apart from this, we also have to think about budget, because if we increase, for example, social spending and provide more jobs for less advantaged people, it means that there will be greater pressure on government budget. And with lower incomes from exports, it's a very serious risk. So in this regard, being prudent in spending and balancing spending and incomes is very important, like to keep track on your spending. But what I also would like to address is our longer term issues, because this situation is that we are having now is more or less midterm, but Vietnam has longer term challenges to face. And these challenges are the technological development and uh, labor, which means that uh, uh, today Vietnam's competitiveness is based on cheap labor. But as Vietnam's economy continues to develop, income will rise. It means that cost of production will rise, and Vietnam will have to transition from products with low value added to production of products with higher value added. And this transition requires adequate labor supply and requires also important technological advancements. So while there are risks of inflation and everything else, it is important for Vietnam to keep spending on its innovation capacity so that it can transition in its economic model smoother, invest in education, to engage younger people to get education adequate for the coming challenges, like because the industries will change in the future. We see a big technological shift towards more AI, towards computing and big data, and these are professions for the future. And so it is important to provide adequate supply of people with these skills so that Vietnam economy remains resilient, not only in the face of today's challenges, but in the face of future challenges.
Dear Mr. President, dear ladies and gentlemen, I send you cordial greetings from Vienna, Austria, where I am the Secretary General of an economic policy think tank. The chairman of our organization, Vivipol, is Dr. Andreas Starrebacher, who is former Minister of Finance of the Republic of Austria. We are very much interested in the developments of Southeast Asia, which we think are very important for the future of whole world economy. It is a great honor being invited to present some suggestions for strengthening Vietnamese economy after the COVID crisis, and I'm very happy that this conference puts a special focus on the topic of sustainability, which I think is very important for the future of our planet. I think that Austrian-Vietnamese relationship can be very important to overcome the crisis for both countries, and if we improve it, I believe that the two countries can overcome the crisis together. Trade relations between Austria and Vietnam are on a very good way. The trade balance is highly positive from the perspective of Vietnam. Vietnam earns about 1 billion euro every year with trade relations with the Republic of Austria. There is another field where there's a huge unused potential. And this is the field of direct investment, especially industrial investment. You must know that Austria is a leading industrial nation, a highly industrialized country, which hosts many world market leaders in a certain industrial field. Only 50 enterprises from Austria are active in Vietnam. There are only 15 production facilities at the moment, and I think that given Austria's high potential in the field of industry, so much more would be possible. If you want to convince Austrian enterprises to invest in Vietnam, I think that more communication and more information to Austrians are necessary. The Chinese have set up so-called business associations in Austria. Their board consists out of locals who speak German, of course, who do business with China, and who serve as testimonials in the public for the quality of investments in China. I think that this is a very interesting tool that can also organize investment conferences. And I think that Vietnam should take into consideration setting up such business associations that closely cooperate with the embassy. I think that there's a huge potential, and I think that commercial diplomacy today must rely more actively on communication and also on public information than in earlier decades. My second suggestion I already put forward in the online medium Voice of Vietnam. I think that Vietnam currently faces one dilemma. There's a huge economic growth in the country, and I'm very impressed by the high dynamics of Vietnamese economy. Unfortunately, this economic growth that is very important to guarantee future wealth of the country also damages to a certain extent the environment. I think that one dilemma will be how to keep up the high growth, how to produce wealth for the people, and at the same time preserve the rich natural treasures Vietnam has. I think that Austria can help. Austria is a world market leader in environmental technology, and innovation can be a way out of the dilemma. I think Austria should support Vietnam with intelligent, smart solutions for urban development and environmental protection. A green partnership between Austria and Vietnam could also involve cooperations between zoos and national parks, and I think that there's a high potential for research projects in this field. My third and most important suggestion for strengthening Vietnamese economy is another field, and I think the key to sustainable development is education. Vietnam is blessed with so many young people with high potential, and I think it is important to invest in these young people. I'm a volunteer of an organization called Asia in Vienna, and we are in very close contact with the Vietnamese Student Association here in Vienna. We organized free tickets for concert for the students so that they can enjoy Vienna's culture without having to bear financial costs. And in future, we will also organize career events which will advise Vietnamese students about how to write a good CV or how to make a career in an international company. But what is very important, I think, is investing in the future. And I'm always shocked to see that there are so little possibilities to obtain a scholarship for studying abroad. I think that fundraising in this field is very important. We have to find partners out of private economy to help Vietnamese young people to develop. If we invest in young people in Vietnam, if we can give them a good education abroad, they can one day come back, bring their knowledge back to Vietnam and build this country up and create a new dimension of wealth. And I think that this is what Vietnam deserves, wealth and prosperity, and I hope that we Austrians can support it. Thank you very much.
Oh no. You can see the.
I have to accept.
Oh, far away, because I just see your face. Oh, yeah, 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 it's okay. It's okay.
Better?
Okay. Oh,
Okay,
very handsome. Huh?
then we start.
Yeah. So
Ladies and gentlemen, okay, I start again.
yeah, okay. Start.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great honor for me to contribute to the Vietnam Socio-Economic Forum this year. And I thank very much the Vietnam National Assembly Television for giving me this opportunity. My name is Jürgen Angleitner. I'm an Austrian citizen, currently working in Switzerland for the building and construction industry. By profession, I'm an environmental engineer. So let me give a few ideas what, in my opinion, for Vietnam is very important in the near future. In my opinion, regional sustainable development with many regards is the utmost importance. First of all, regional energy must be strengthened. The regional energy production must meet the needs of regional consumption and vice versa. Smart grids are certainly the solution for that. And I'm convinced that Vietnam is best off if it focuses on the strength of energy energy available in the region, so that at the end you're independent of energy supply. Sustainability also with regard to food production and agriculture. Food supply from the region should be strengthened, and I'm sure that this will create more independence. Another point I would like to mention is sustainability in transport and mobility. And last but not least, sustainability in housing, and there as well, building with regional materials, building in a way that cooling doesn't need too much energy. So in general terms, for the socio-economic issues, sustainable development is the main issue, and I would be very happy to support you in the one or other aspect if it's required, and it would be a great pleasure for me. I wish you all the best for your forum, many interesting discussions. I wish you a good outcome, and first of all, a good and sustainable development of Vietnam.
Thank you
Best
so much.
regards, Jürgen Angleitner.
Oh, sorry. Okay, I stop and you wait for some minutes. I check it.